So welcome to live Q&A with the e-Residency team. It's the 19th of April today. It's a really nice sunny day here in Tallinn, Estonia. I hope the weather is as lovely wherever you are. So this Q&A is about becoming an e-resident and starting a company in Estonia. And we're going to share some slides with you, some content with you, and also answer any questions you might have. If you have questions, please put them in the Q&A tab. If you are here to network and meet people and find business partners and clients, use the chat. I have a colleague here, Melissa, who is the community manager and PR manager here at e-Residency. And then I have a couple of friends from Silva Hunt. And I'm going to let them, Kasper, I think you'll start. I'm going to let them introduce themselves first.
Okay, thank you very much. Hello, everybody. As Hannah said, hope it's sunny wherever you are as well. Spring is out. Awesome. My name is Kasper Karik. I'm representing Silva Hunt. I'm the co-founder and CEO of the company. And the company got started 2018, actually, in connection with another worldwide organization, JCI. We had summer days here. We had a German e-resident and co-founder in Estonia. And from his idea to create a service provider who would accommodate his needs and wants, became Silva Hunt to be 2018. And what's special about us, this accounting and all that, which is necessary to do business in Estonia, this is like the backbone or the fundamental things that we offer anyway. But we are looking for experienced entrepreneurs worldwide to whom we, in addition to offering everything Estonia has to offer with taxes, with e-services, with the environment in startup scene, the internet or e-scene, we create a community to whom we create the events in Estonia. In Madeira, we had this year an event where we have mastermind, where we get them together, where they talk about problems, ideas, questions, and sometimes also come up with new business ideas. Next one is in August in Estonia. Before that, we meet up in Latitude or before Latitude, and we promote Estonian but worldwide investment opportunities as well. So everything necessary to do a business through Estonian entity, we are your company. And you can contact us by writing into to the email info@silvahunt.ee, or you can also, I'm always open to networking in LinkedIn and also WhatsApp, the number you can see in here. And yeah, you will definitely find us. Happy to be here. Thank you for inviting, and good that you're here. Welcome.
And Georgie, did you want to just quickly introduce yourself as well?
Hi there. I'm a lawyer from Estonia. I work with Silva Hunt as well, and as well as independent lawyer. So I have been practicing for over than 10 years in Estonia. I finished Tartu University and have a master's degree. So main expertise I have is commercial law, labor law, taxes, and everything that needs business nowadays. I can help with this. So you can always ask for help, Silva Hunt, and they will contact me, and we will make work together. Or you can find me in LinkedIn as well.
And I want to add that also international tax consultant is in our team, which also kind of differentiates us. And
yeah, very strong
in our team.
Very cool. And one of your colleagues, Dagne, is also on the line, and she's networking with participants in the chat. So if you have any questions about contacting Silva Hunt, you can also ask Dagne in the chat how to do that. All right, Melissa, let's turn over to you. So the presentation today will be in 3 parts. The first part is on becoming an e-resident. We'll then answer a few questions on that topic. Then we'll turn back to the slides for company formation and business banking, then answer questions, and then lastly, we'll cover taxes as well. Melissa, take it away.
All right. Hello, everyone. A very warm welcome from me as well. As Anna mentioned, I am the community manager at e-Residency. So I hope to see a lot of you who are not yet a part of our e-Residency community to become a part of this very tight-knit community. So first of all, let's talk about what is e-Residency. So e-Residency is a digital identity, and this digital identity provides you access to all of Estonia's e-services, so both public and private services that you can access with this digital identity, which comes in a form of, it looks like an ID card, but just without a photo, and it's got a chip in it that you plug into your computer, and voila, you can access all of our e-services. It also provides you with a very secure digital signature, which in addition enables you to encrypt documents and then send signed documents. And it is, a way of looking at it is a digital key for you to do business in Estonia and in the EU, as by having e-Residency, you're able to open and run an Estonian company remotely from wherever you are. And also e-Residency is a global community of e-residents, as well as a larger community of an ecosystem of entrepreneurs. But then let's also talk about the other side of what e-Residency is not. So as I mentioned, it looks like an ID card, but it is not a travel document. So with e-Residency, you'll not be able to travel with just the e-Residency card. It also does not affect your citizenship. It's not a visa or any sort of residency. The kind of common misconception can be is that it affects your own residency or automatically makes you an Estonian tax resident, but that's not the case. It also does not automatically provide you with a business banking account that will be needed, that you will need to apply for separately, and it's not a guarantee. And it also does not provide you with a personal bank account. So let's talk about who can apply for e-Residency. So e-Residency is granted for individuals. So you will need to apply as a natural person, not as a company, as you are provided with your own unique Estonian personal identification code. Also, it is it's for people that have interest in using these e-services, and for those who would like to start a company in Estonia. Now, this is not for Estonian citizens or residents of Estonia, because it wouldn't make sense, because we already have the Estonian local ID card. And currently there's also restrictions on applications from Russians and Belarusians. So let's talk about who can become, why become an e-resident, probably the most important question. So through e-Residency, you can register a company in Estonia and therefore have an EU-based company. And you can do this entirely digitally online from anywhere, as long as you have an internet connection. And you can run your business remotely as well. So not only start the business, but also run this and scale your business entirely online. And you can also sign documents with the highest level of digital security. And once again, can't stress this enough, but you can join our community of like-minded entrepreneurs. You can see here in the photo, we have Ian and Luke. They are co-founders of a company called Functional. Ian here lives in South Korea. Luke lives in Switzerland, and they run their Estonian business together remotely. So let's talk about the timeline of how you can become an e-resident and pick up your card. So first of all, you'll need to go to the application page, which you can go from our website. The application itself takes about 30 minutes. And you'll need to have a copy of your passport and a photo. During the application, you will choose a pickup location. where you will pick up your card from and pay the state fee, which is about 100 to 120 euros, depending on where you choose to pick up your card. Then the Estonian Police and Border Guard Board will review your application, and that can take up to 30 days. They might also contact you for some extra questions. So once your e-residency kit is ready and your card is printed out, it will reach the location that you chose within 2 to 5 weeks. Again, depending on where the location is, how far it is from Estonia. Then you can actually change your pickup location if you need to do so. So that is possible. A lot of people ask about it. You'll just need to pay a small extra fee for this. And then you will need to go and pick up your e-residency kit from the chosen pickup location, which is usually an Estonian embassy, and they will contact you when your card has reached the destination, and you can book a suitable time to go pick up your card. Our pickup locations will keep your card for 6 months, so you have 6 months to pick up your card. And then once you have your card, you plug it into your computer, and you will have access to all of these e-services that we talk about, which means you can start registering your company. Now on the next slide, we will see all of our pickup locations. So there is around 45 locations at this point. You will need to physically yourself go to the pickup location. You can't have it shipped to your home or send a friend, because it is a government issued document and you'll need to provide your thumb fingerprints to pick up your card. So it is important to also bear in mind that if you don't have a pickup location in your country or nearby, then you will need to travel to the nearest location.
Thanks, Melissa. So let's stop here and just have a look in the Q&A and see if there are any questions. And just before I have a look, one thing to note: this webinar is being live streamed on YouTube, and so a recording of this webinar will be available on the eResidency YouTube page afterwards. You will also receive a link tomorrow from us to a web page on our website where you can download these slides. Those are 2 questions I always get asked, so I'm just saying that right now, so you all know that you will get them. All right, Melissa, there's a question here from Thomas. How can I access the mentioned community of e-residents? I think you're probably the best person in the world to answer this question. So.
All right, so probably the most popular place to be online is our Facebook group, e-Residents of Estonia. You can join that today, right now, if you want to. There are some local communities that e-residents have formed themselves on WhatsApp and other channels, but Facebook group, I'd say, is the first place to start. We also host quite a lot of face-to-face events around the world, quite a few coming up. Next one in June will be in Madrid. So keep an eye on our events calendar. We also have a separate Discord channel for already existing e-residents who have a company, so e-resident founders. So that's more of a focused community. And we also, we have, well, actually the next slide will cover this, but we have a subreddit which you can join as well. And you can also find me on LinkedIn and ask me more about the community if you're interested. Or if you're interested in hosting an event in your own town, in your own country.
Caspar, I've seen that you've got your hand up. I'll come to you in 1 minute. I'm just going to answer Melissa's question first, which is, you said you plug the card into your computer. Is it by USB, or how does that work? Yes, when you become an e-resident, you get a kit, which includes the card that Melissa talked about. You also get a USB card reader, which you can insert into your computer, and that will read the card for you. Caspar, you had a comment.
Yeah, to the community question, I didn't see the question itself, but to talk about community, then one option, if you're already in e-residency community, so to say, and you find your way to our community as a client, then we are using Slack, and as I said, we're also doing these events twice a year. So So we have a nice tight-knit community as well.
Great, thank you. And Kaushik is asking, I'm a resident of Germany with an EU blue card residence permit, but with an Indian passport. So as Melissa mentioned, you apply for e-residency as an individual. So you would apply with your passport, your Indian passport, and become an e-resident yourself. And in relation to your second question around taxes, we are going to cover this later in the webinar, so stay tuned for that. Thank you. Okay, I think most of the other questions that have been asked are more in relation to topics we'll cover later. So I'm going to now turn back to the slides and go into part 2, because we do have a lot of content to cover today. So as Melissa mentioned, we have a new subreddit. So if there are any questions that you asked today that don't get answered, or you feel like you need more information, this is a really good place to start. So you can use the QR code down here, or go directly to the link there, pick your user flare and read through the rules and site information, and then start connecting and start discussing e-residency with the community. Okay, so as I said, we're going to cover company formation and business banking in part 2. So the first question to ask is, why open a company in Estonia? Well, as Melissa mentioned, it's 100% digital and you can do it from anywhere as long as you have an internet connection. But there are a few more specific value propositions that we feel make us unique against some of the competition. The first is that it's really easy to start, run and grow a company in Estonia. And this is because of the digital environment. It's also because of the low regulation here and the fact that you have all the opportunities available to do this. The second reason is that you can be confident doing business in a safe, dependable and transparent country in the EU. Estonia has been building its digital infrastructure since 1991. It's extremely secure and has been tested many times on a cyber level. And so, you can trust that if you set up a business here digitally, it will be safe. The third is around growth opportunities. Even though Estonia is quite a small country, comparatively speaking, it punches above its weight in the startup field, in the startup ecosystem of the world. Investors and partners trust Estonian companies and trust founders who have Estonian companies to give them money, to add them to their accelerator or incubator programs. And there are also a lot of innovation incentives here in Estonia itself. The government is very pro-business and they will support you and your product and your services that you want to provide to the world. Finally, we've mentioned community a lot, and it's not just the e-resident community, but also the service providers like Silva Hunt here, the government, policymakers, startup community in Estonia itself, and our team as well. You have this network of support, and it's truly global. So this is a huge value proposition that I think Estonia can offer. Kasper, I wanted to just ask you quickly whether you see anything else that is a good reason for someone to think about starting a company in Estonia.
Yeah, to add on top of this security thought of Estonia being cyber secure, we also, even Estonia is hosting those events for cybersecurity for NATO, where they actually have two different teams, and one is trying to hack another. And I think right now, or in a close future, is the next one coming in. And why to make an Estonian company for? Yeah, so depends. I understand that a lot of participants are from the Europe, but the ones who aren't, to get access to the European market. One of the things, ease of doing business. Of course, I'm also very pro investment or investments. So there's different ways to invest. One of them is to buy property. So you can actually, as an e-resident, use e-notary and also buy apartment or a house or investment object. very easily without coming to Estonia. So all these things are very good. Startup ecosystem, everybody are one call away. So it's a good place to be. And yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, all really good points. And regarding the NATO security exercise, you're right. It's happening actually today because 2 of our colleagues are taking part, which is pretty cool. Okay, so registering your company in a nutshell. So once you have applied for e-residency and collected your digital ID card, you're ready to go, as Melissa mentioned. So the first thing you need to do is choose the business service provider, and I will tell you why in the next slide. You probably need this. After you've got your business service provider, you can then log into the e-business register, or if your service provider has an API, you can actually do it through their system to register your company. Some companies might need a license or a notice of economic activity, and these are in very limited areas of activity because, as I said, Estonia is fairly low regulation when it comes to business, but they're in the sort of, you know, the usual suspects like financial services. Crypto, for example, is one. If you're providing a crypto wallet, you will need a license for that. There are some educational services and travel and tourism services that will need it, and other things like gambling, construction, these kinds of things as well. Finally, once you've you've registered your company already, and then you can apply for your business banking account. And we're going to talk more about this in a few slides' time. Okay, so I mentioned service providers. So when I say service providers, what I mean are businesses who can help you partner with you to run your business. And then we have many of them on our marketplace, which you can find on our website. So I mentioned that you probably will need at least one. And this is because in Estonia, e-residents, because you live outside the country, so your management board is technically located outside of Estonia, you need to have a local contact person and address here in Estonia. It's a mandatory local service when your management board is overseas. Only certain professionals or licensed representatives can play this role, can represent your company as a contact person, but note that they're not, it's not a local director or a non-executive director or a shadow director, so they don't have any liability for your company. They are purely your company's address, mailbox, and messenger service in Estonia. The marketplace here that I mentioned is also a great place to search for service providers who can help you with company formation, accounting, legal, tax, consulting, etc. And Silva Hunt is a very proud member of the marketplace, so look out for them on there. I actually did a very nice video demoing the marketplace. It has some tips and tricks on how to use it and how to use the filter system and the comparison system. And also it shows how the ratings and reviews work, because we ask our e-residents to rate and review their experiences with service providers. So if you're thinking about getting service providers, take a watch of this video because it will help you get started quicker. Okay, let's talk about costs. So as Melissa mentioned, the application fee for e-residency is when you pay it online, it's 100 or 120. And then there are some private locations where you pick up your card that will charge you an extra cash fee. So that's why here the application fee is a little bit larger in range than the one we mentioned earlier. The state fee to register a private limited company or an OÜ in Estonia is 265 euros, and expect to pay from 200 to 400 euros per year for a local contact person. Accounting in Estonia starts about 50 euros per month if you need those services. And when you're putting together your budget to start a company, maybe there are some other things that you need to think about. So for example, if you need to travel to pick up your e-residency card, think of the costs for the travel. If you want any extra services like around taxes, for example, think about budgeting those in. Some banks ask for monthly fees, so take note of that. And also, if you are running a business that needs a license or you need software licenses, for example, think about adding those into your budget as well. So I've put together a very rough sort of first year startup cost estimates. If you're a DIY type of person, expect to pay starting from 565. And this is just for the e-residency application fee, the state fee to register the company, and a local contact person in Estonia. If, on the other hand, you need a little bit more help with accounting support, the lowest that you can expect to pay in the first year is from about 1,265 euros. These are very rough estimates, though, so please do your own budgeting and costing yourself. So I mentioned this OÜ, the private limited company in Estonia. It's the most popular business form here, not just for e-residents, but for Estonians as well. It's suitable for companies with one or more shareholders. So if you want to start a company with multiple founders, you can use the OÜ, or if you're a solopreneur, you can use the OÜ. It's fine for both. Recently, the laws changed in Estonia, and the minimum share capital, which used to be 2,500 euros, is now almost nothing. It's from 1 euro cent per shareholder. And some of the advantages of having an OÜ is that they limit shareholder liability, and the registration process is quite easy, as I showed you in the previous slide. Melissa, I'm going to turn back to you for the business banking section.
Yes, let's talk about banking. But first, I'd like to make a side note that quite a few of you are putting your questions in the chat tab. Please do put your questions in the Q&A so we can track those better and get your questions answered. So, banking options for e-residents. There are 3 options that you can go with. The most popular among e-residents is to use a payment institution, fintech in the EU area. So this, the advantages of choosing a fintech is that you can open an account completely digitally online. And there's the widest choice of these banking providers, so you can choose one that suits your needs. The kind of difference between a fintech and a traditional bank, though, is that fintechs do not provide business loans. So that's something to keep in mind, depending on what your business needs are. Then the second option is if you already have an existing relationship with a bank, with a local bank where you live, if you live in the EU area, they might be willing to open a business account for your Estonian business where you actually are and have that relationship with. So if the bank knows you and they trust you, then this could be an option. And then the third option is to apply for a bank account, a corporate bank account in an Estonian bank. Now, something to keep in mind with Estonian banks is that they do want to see a strong connection to Estonia, and you will need to visit the bank physically in Estonia at least once. Now, you will get a preliminary answer from them. So if you do come to Estonia, you're not going to waste the trip. They will let you know before you come here if you're going to be able to open an account with them. But just this is important to keep in mind that you will need to come here. Quite a lot of e-residents first open an account with a fintech and then form a deeper connection with Estonia, maybe have some clients here or an office, and then later on open an account with an Estonian bank account. So let's just have a look at the kind of comparison between the banks and the fintechs. So as I mentioned, the biggest difference between a traditional bank and fintech options is that traditional banks provide business loans. That's probably the biggest difference. All other services are offered by fintechs as well. You can see in the list here, if having an Estonian IBAN is important to you, then there are options here both in the Estonian banks, but also fintechs. There are 3, two at the moment that offer an e-IBAN. And yeah, you can basically see the list here, but we have this comparison also on our marketplace on the website. So if you're thinking about different options, you can choose them there on our marketplace, and you'll have a comparison next to you of what kind of services they offer, also what are their kind of basic costs of opening a bank account in those service providers. I think this is a good place to stop for questions, Hannah, is that right? Should we have a look at?
Yep, that's a great idea. So, Casper, are you seeing any questions here that are interesting? Someone's asking about the presentation again. Again, you'll receive a link tomorrow where you can download these slides. So yes, you will get a copy.
Mm-hmm. I'm opening the chat and the question as well. And when I opened the chat, the first one I noticed was, should have all the shareholders got their e-residency, meaning that should all the shareholders have e-residency? This is something that isn't like an obstacle, but we always recommend for the shareholders to have e-residency, because that's the main key of ease of doing business when all of the shareholders have the e-residency. So you can do the transactions, you can do the decisions online. So it's not a must. You can also go to the notary and do everything necessary, but it's definitely something we recommend doing.
So I can see there are a couple of people asking about Zolo, another service provider on the marketplace. Zolo is a very good service provider if you're a one-person company, a solopreneur. If you're providing services, particularly digital services. So if you, Melissa, I'm talking to you, the questioner, not the panelist. If you're a solopreneur and you're providing some kind of digital services or digital products, then maybe Zolo is a good option for you. If you're thinking about starting a company with more than one founder, then Zolo won't be a good option. Or if you want to sell products or e-commerce, these kinds of things, Zolo doesn't take those types of clients. And I just also wanted to make a note, Melissa, in case you haven't seen it, that there is another attendee, Lily, who has been using Zolo for 2 years and can give you advice. So maybe you can find each other either in the chat or, if you haven't already, in the Q&A, and she or he can give you some advice.
If I may add, I think that the slide you had with the marketplace members, 122, I think
yes.
All of them are good providers and with different strengths or different services. Everybody has to go through the onboarding process with e-residency, meaning that there is certain quality to the
yes.
ones who get there. Just to bring out a difference, perhaps, like also there's providers who are offering like every service as maybe how to say, like separate services, meaning that perhaps you have to the accounting service and the annual report service and consultations or something else, that everything is like different, so it adds up. And just bring out the differentiation with Silva Hunt, we are aiming to be this confident or this one-stop shop for the entrepreneurs. So we have the accounting, the annual reporting, all the business consultation, 2 hours per month with tax and law consultations in it. So we have this one monthly fee, which is higher than you might see at some other service provider is presenting or selling. But that's the difference. Our approach is different. Just to bring that out.
Great, thank you, Casper. Yeah, as Casper mentioned, we don't just let any service provider onto the marketplace. We do a lot of vetting, due diligence, and we want to make sure that they have e-resident clients already, so that they understand the opportunities and challenges for people living outside of Estonia who start a company here. Enzo is asking about what I think is the startup visa. So this is actually a program run by a Startup Estonia, and they're a separate entity to e-Residency. So I'm really sorry, Enzo, we can't help you with that. You'll need to contact the Startup Estonia team separately from us. Thank you, though.
They are very nice, though, and so yes, I'm sure they will get back to you.
And just so everyone else is aware, Startup Estonia is another government organization here in Estonia, and they're responsible for the startup ecosystem here, including the Startup Visa, which is a visa program for startups and their small teams to actually move to Estonia, participate in accelerators, incubators, find investors and network and these kinds of things. So a really cool program if your company is a little bit more further along than, say, someone who's just starting out.
Richard is asking if we would recommend e-residency for an entrepreneur when trading in physical products, so someone in e-commerce, or is e-residency better for online businesses? Now, we more recommend it for online businesses as it is easier, but there are quite a lot of e-residents actually operating in the e-commerce industry. You can, for example, head to our blog and read about e-resident stories there and some examples. But maybe Kaspar, you would like to comment on this as well. Do you have any e-commerce customers? I'm not even sure.
I know that there are service providers who have like more or bigger proportion of eShop or Amazon FBA businesses as their clients. But for me, I see an opportunity here to bring in Georgi to perhaps try to answer this question as well.
Yeah, thank you. So I think the Estonia is very good for e-commerce and any online business. First of all, it's easy to open it and manage everything that you need for your company, like big investments or cooperate with your partners only with this e-residency card, as well as you can accumulate your money and reinvest it into another business or buy something else for your e-commerce or online business. For example, if you have a company in another country where, for example, in Lithuania, where the tax is taken directly from the profit, you will lose this money. So you can't reinvest it during the period of your business, before you take out with the dividends. So this is Estonia is the best, in my opinion, the best has best ecosystem for starting business and operating online. So you can after choose if you want to buy real estate or you want to move to another business and you can use this money in another business. So I will answer as well one question about this real estate. What is written here that
yes,
we need a company to buy real estate. I say yes and no. It depends on your purposes. So as a natural person, you can buy real estate in any country. I think maybe somewhere are restrictions, but not in Estonia. So if you want to operate this real estate as a business, for example, to rent it out in Airbnb or somewhere else, you can definitely think about opening a company and operating as a company. So you can make your costs will be less because you can hire the cleaner or any other services and using this money from the company that you earned, not your money from your pocket.
And this is awesome. Just a short example. I see the time is running fast. We have actually also clients who are doing this real estate investments and Airbnb options. And just to bring out, there are some German people also in the audience. In Germany, if it's like if you get profit or 1 to 3% from your real estate, then in Estonia we have a client who has done calculations and got Airbnb return on investment 10%. So, and if you have a long-term renter, then it's perfectly normal to get 5 to 6%. So twice as much. Thank you.
Here's a question. Well, last one before.
Last one, and then we can get on to taxes because there's a lot of questions on taxes already.
Sure. I'll answer the last one then. For example, Jana is asking if in a business, for example, OU can be a holding company, or does it have to be an actual business in Estonia from the start? So yes, it can be a holding company, and this is actually very common among e-residents to use e-residency to have a holding company in Estonia. So short answer, yes.
Okay, let's move on. And don't worry, we'll continue asking questions. I have seen that a few people have asked about comparing Estonia with other countries. And we have actually got some of this content on our website and in our blog. So these are the 3 countries we have so far, but we're going to be adding more very soon. I'm not going to go through every single thing on this slide, but I just wanted to point out a few. The first one is the time to register a business. In Estonia, it takes on average 2 hours to register your company online if you have the digital ID card. This actually can be as low as 15 minutes and 33 seconds because an e-resident from Austria, Dominik Panost, actually did that last year live on stage at London Tech Week. You know, you can try and compete for the title, the world record of shortest company incorporation if you want. But I just wanted to really bring this out here to compare with some other countries. So if you're a foreigner starting a company in Delaware, you'll need a local agent. And which means that the registering the company might take 5 to 15 business days. In Ireland, you need to have a director from the European Economic Area if you're a non-EU founder in order to start a business in Ireland. And so therefore that can take longer again to set up the company. And finally, in the UK, it can take, according to the website, it says 24 hours, but I have heard from people that it can be shorter than that. So I think the UK is fairly comparable with Estonia. And finally, the other thing I wanted to bring out as well is the online, the online aspect. In Estonia, with e-Residency, everything is online from the setup to the running. In Delaware, it's partially. There are some things that you might need to do with mail or even in person. In Ireland, it's partially, but here you need to upload, like actually print, sign, and scan physical documents to become digital. So it's not really super digital like it is in Estonia or as easy. And in the UK, you can do most things digitally as well in the setup phase. So just a few things that to show comparisons. As I said, if you want more details on these, check out our blog where we've got more really long blog posts comparing the countries. And we're going to be adding more very soon. Another thing to add before we get onto taxes is that we are reimbursing e-residency fees for Ukrainian citizens. So if you're Ukrainian, if you apply for e-residency and register a company in Estonia, the e-residency team and the Estonian government will cover your application fee for e-residency, and eligible service providers will cover the business incorporation fee. So we know that you're going through a pretty tough time at the moment, and hopefully this is a small thing to make things a little bit easier for your entrepreneurship activities. Okay, so taxes. So the first thing to note is, although I'm a lawyer, I'm not a tax lawyer. And therefore, I can only give you very broad guidance and ideas about what to think about when starting a company, a borderless business, as you would be doing as an Estonian e-resident. We do have Georgia here, so he can definitely jump in for some of the more specific questions about Estonian and international taxes. But I just wanted to make that very clear from the beginning that this is just general guidance and to speak to a professional about your own specific situation if you go this route. Okay, firstly, what are the taxes to be aware of and where might you pay them as an e-resident? So the first one is your own individual personal taxes. Generally speaking, you'll declare these in your country of tax residence. The second is the company taxes, and generally these will be declared where your company is tax resident. But there are also some international taxation concepts like permanent establishment and dual tax residency that you'll need to be aware of. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about this in the next slide, because essentially what it means is you could be liable to pay taxes in 2 countries or more. But luckily there are ways around this. So stay tuned for the next slide. The third type of taxes to be aware of are the payroll taxes and social contributions. So these are taxes that go to your employees, or if you are an employee of your company yourself, you'll also need to think about what type of social and payroll taxes your company will need to cover. Generally speaking, these are declared where your employees or you as an employee are located or registered. And finally, VAT, value-added taxes, sales tax, also known as GST in some countries. In Europe, at least, there are a few schemes that simplify, that are starting to simplify VAT a bit more for companies. I've put a very broad rule of thumb here, which will not apply to every single transaction, but if you're selling sort of goods under 150 euros, this will generally be the rule that you can follow, which is that online sellers can declare VAT in the EU country where they are VAT registered. Okay, so back to company taxes. So Estonian companies, when they're registered, are automatically considered Estonian tax residents by Estonia's Tax and Customs Board, which is the regulatory board here in Estonia in charge of taxation. But if your company is also considered a tax resident or your activities create a permanent establishment in another country, your company may also have tax liabilities there. So what are some activities that could create a permanent establishment? These are things like having an office in another country, employing staff, holding assets under your company's ownership, and also if you're making key strategic decisions, board decisions, these kinds of things in that country. All of these types of factors will be considered when a permanent establishment of your company. The other thing to note that's really important, and this is going back to what Melissa said at the beginning of this presentation, is that e-residency does not exempt companies from dual tax residency or foreign tax liabilities. It's not a tax residency for your company or for you. So put together, this does raise the possibility that your company might have, dual tax liabilities in different countries. The good news is that Estonia has signed up treaties with over 60 countries to avoid double taxation. So, for example, Germany, I saw that we have quite a few people who live in Germany here, and Germany does have, I know, a very active tax board, one might say. So, for example, if you're a German e-resident and you have an Estonian company, it's likely that if you're doing most of your activities from Germany, the German tax board will consider that your company has a permanent establishment in Germany and you'll have tax liabilities there. But the tax treaty between Estonia and Germany exempts your company from paying taxes on dividends distributed in Estonia if you're paying taxes in Germany. So you should not be double taxed, but you need to talk to a tax consultant for professional advice, and there will be something that you need to do in order not to pay double tax, basically. So make sure you talk to a professional, get help in that regard. So now, after sort of giving you the bad news, now I'm going to talk about the good news, which is that Estonia does have the most competitive tax code in the world, and this is due to its minimal tax regulation and low rates. There is no annual corporate income tax. What does this mean? So if you reinvest your profits into your company, you pay no taxes, no corporate income taxes. If you distribute those profits as dividends, for example, the rates are 20% standard or 14% if you pay out regular distributions over 3 years or more. VAT in Estonia is 20%. If you have turnover over 40,000 euros, you'll need to register for VAT, although a lot of companies register even before that. It's possible to do that before as well. And as I mentioned before, the EU has these one-stop shop, the OSS, and the import one-stop shop, the IOSS regimes to simplify VAT for online sellers and importers as well. In Estonia, taxes can be declared and paid online. All you need to do is you need to log in with your e-residency card, go to the EMTA, the online tax portal, and fill out your tax declarations there. The Estonian Tax and Customs Board, I've mentioned them already. They are extremely friendly. This is not just a cheesy statement I'm putting here. I'm sure all of us on this call have had dealings with EMTA that have been very pleasant and very fast, and they're extremely helpful. They even have a direct email and phone number, I think, for non-resident taxpayers. So I would recommend getting in touch with them if you have questions about Estonian taxes. And just all of this put together, it's really no wonder that Estonia has been #1 on the Tax Competitiveness Index for 9 years running. We're going for 10 next year, which would be really exciting if that happens. So how can e-residents pay corporate taxes in Estonia? So basically what you need to show that your company has substance here, has a strong connection. A little bit like what Melissa mentioned for getting an Estonian bank account. If you can satisfy the banks, you could probably satisfy the tax board as well. So things like renting an office, hiring employees who are registered in Estonia, holding your board meetings here, so coming once or twice a year to make all the big strategic decisions about your company, registering assets and intellectual property, IP, in Estonia. If you're digital nomads and you don't have a tax residency, you have a much better argument to pay taxes here in Estonia if you're traveling a lot. There's also the question of relocation, which our program we don't really cover visas. That's something to talk to our colleagues over at work in Estonia, but relocation is definitely an option, particularly if you're from the EU, and if you're from outside of the EU, there are some special visa categories to look into. We have many e-residents who end up living in Estonia, Melissa including 3 of our new spokespeople, which actually right now might be a good time to mention this program.
Sure. So we have e-residents that we have, brought to events with us, who have represented us and who we collaborate with. They also, from their own initiative, speak our messages out loud to the public. So we have created a program where we recognize their efforts and given them the titles. So we now have official e-residency envoys and e-residency community leaders. So if you notice in some of our community channels, there's a community leader. These are expert e-residents who have experience with the program, the customer journey, can answer your questions, and they also have a direct line with our team. So if there are more complicated questions, they can ask us and update you on that as well. And also our envoys speak on our behalf as well at events around the world. And you're welcome to reach out to them. You can find their contacts on our LinkedIn posts. So yeah.
And 3 of those envoys are actually living in Tallinn. They're not Estonian, but they've moved here. And so they've taken that route of becoming an e-resident first and then becoming Estonian residents later. But Kaspar, I saw that you took your mute off. So did you have some comments?
Yes, I wanted to say that we have pleasure of having those some of those envoys also in our network, and to say that the same slide that we have on the screen regarding the personnel recruitment and all that. So this is also what differentiates us a bit. We also help you, beloved entrepreneurs and e-residents, to find employees if necessary. So without hearing or being salesy, right?
Thank you.
I want to add as well that here is written that rent an office. I want to ensure that it shouldn't be just address, like legal address in Estonia. It should be like real office, where chairs, tables, and something like this. And also we can put another point here that if you have a headquarter in Estonia, it's it's a most beneficial substance that you can have in Estonia.
Thank you. Yeah, and that kind of connects to the holding company question as well, doesn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
There is already actually a question if these substances are a must. They are not a must, but they are helpful if you're looking for that connection to Estonia to be a tax resident here as your company or for the banking account.
Yeah, as well as bank. If you have everything what is listed here, bank may also not open account for you. It depends only on their decision. If they're in their internal policies, it may be subject of any other matter.
Thank you. Okay, so let's have a look at the questions and see if there are some tax questions we can answer. Someone's asking about CFCs, and to be absolutely honest, this is not something that I am super aware of. Georgie, is this something that you're confident in tackling? Maybe I'll leave it to you.
But it always depends on the residence of the person where he lives or she lives. It's difficult to answer now to this question, but the main rule, if I just read this question to the end. Yeah, there are some cases where if you are having business in Estonia, you are taxed in your own country, like were mentioned. If you are not, like for example, Estonia and Germany have this double taxation treaty. So if you don't inform, for example, Estonian tax board or Germany tax board that you gained profit in one of those countries and you want to implement this double taxation avoidance, you could be taxed double, but you can fix it after, but it will be pain for you. It will take time to explain where you gained this profit, where were this permanent establishment in Germany, for example, or in Estonia. You should prove everything. So to avoid everything, you should firstly consult with your personal tax consultant in your home country and with tax consultant in the country where you are doing business.
Thank you. And so Richard is sort of asking, I suppose, the obvious question. So why actually start a company in Estonia if you still have to pay taxes in your own country? So I'm going to start this question, but maybe then I'll hand over to Georgie and Kasper as well to add. I think the main thing here to note is that if you only have clients in your own country, then maybe it is better for you to start a company in your own country. I think what differentiates Estonia, though, is that it's the ease of doing business digitally and the ability to serve the EU market as a whole, and also serve the global market as well. So if you're a company that's looking to go global, to expand into the EU or expand further, then maybe it's a better option. The other thing to point out is if you live in a country where starting a company is a really expensive process or involves a lot of paperwork or requires a huge share capital injection right at the beginning, looking at you, Germany or Switzerland, for example, then Estonia is a much cheaper alternative to start. So for small startups who are sort of really looking, just to test an idea or build something innovative, quickly and agile, then Estonia has it over the competition. But Georgie, Kasper, did you have anything that you wanted to add here as well?
You're absolutely correct. It all depends on where are you doing your business. But if you are talking about, for example, salary or share with this board members fee. For example, board members fee is taxable always in Estonia. In income tax, but social tax can be reduced. It depends. Do we have agreement with Estonia? Has agreement with your country, for example, or if you are working from another country, for example, from Spain, and you are working not as a board member, but for example, as a marketing specialist or any other, you can pay salary there. Maybe there the taxation of the salary is lower, so you can play with this. But it depends on your strategy. It depends on your business. It depends on what you want in the end.
I would also say that everything you say I agree with. With our international tax lawyer, also one of the first questions is what does this person plan for the future? Do they have a family? Do they have plans to move? Where is their tax residence? All that, to understand what are the plans and needs and wants. And from there, there can be put together a plan how to do it most conveniently and beneficially. And also, there are, of course, the digital nomads who don't have a tax residence anywhere. Makes a lot of sense. But also, entrepreneurs are combining Estonian setup with different countries. For example, with Portugal, with the NHR, with the Dubai. So they are creating like this setups with combination with different countries, and also accumulating their assets is a big part why people are doing it. So you have a holding company, you have your board meetings in Estonia, really take decisions here. So you can prove, maybe you stay here for a month or two, or you can prove that you have this connection with Estonia, and you can grow your pension assets here that you take out. So this accumulation of the assets is a big benefit. So there's a lot of different opportunities. It may sound vague saying that it depends on your situation, but it really does. And we are open for discussion.
Yes, and I would just to add one thing. Yeah, sorry. That for example, if you refuse to be Estonian tax resident and you move to another country and take the tax resident there, it might become like in 1 year you are still Estonian tax resident. For example, because your family lives in Estonia, you come here from time to time, so you have strong connection through your family, for example. This is also a case. So it, like Kaspar said, it depends on your personal situation always. Yes.
Also, actually, I'd like to point out that actually a majority of e-residents are actually from the EU. So I guess the perception that it's mostly useful for non-EU is not correct, because there are so many factors. Hannah mentioned bureaucracy, but something that might be overlooked is the fact that if you open and run your business in Estonia, everything's available in English. So, for example, if you're a foreigner living in Germany, it's very difficult to run your business there because most of it is in German. You'll need notaries, and it's a whole process. So if you have your company here, it's very easy, and the communication is easy as well. And something else as well is the deferred taxes for reinvested profits. So if you have a company in Estonia, this is not the case for a lot of other countries, is that if you keep reinvesting into your company, then that's not taxed until you take the money out. So there's quite a few benefits for those that are from the EU as well, depending on the jurisdiction of the country where you are in comparison to Estonia.
I see this one question that is only real estate considered as a substance. I just want to answer shortly that it depends. If you only holding this real estate, like in the company account, it doesn't matter for your substance. Only if you are using it for a business purpose, for example, and you have at least something else, then you can create this substance. But only having one thing, real estate, or only having employees doesn't give you 100% that you have substance here.
Thank you. Melissa, I can see that you've got another question lined up around, where is it? I've lost it now. This Q&A.
Yeah, I lost it too.
It's it's about banking. So someone is asking about whether you need, what you need to get, basically, to get an Estonian bank account. And it is true that you need to show that your business, your proposed business, has a strong connection to Estonia. And without that connection, a bank may reject your application. So similar things to what I'm saying here around substance for tax purposes will be good for the bank. So you need like suppliers or clients or employees in Estonia to really show that your business has a connection to Estonia. That said, there are many e-residents who have successfully got an account with an Estonian bank, like LHV, for example. So it is possible. It's not completely impossible. And there are, as Melissa also went through, lots of different options in terms of fintechs as well. So take a look on the marketplace and compare the options there. Okay. There are a few people sort of asking about different things about being a digital nomad. So Anamika. So yeah, as I mentioned, if you are a digital nomad and you officially leave your country, so for example, if you deregister as a tax resident from the Netherlands and you then are looking for a new place to register as a tax resident, Estonia could be an option for you, and that would give you a very good argument if you start a company here to pay taxes here as well, pay company taxes here as well. But this will very much depend on your personal situation and also depend on the Netherlands, how they treat their citizens and how they treat their tax residents by law as well. So you'll need to probably talk to a tax lawyer in the Netherlands as well as consult Estonian tax service providers as well.
I can also actually connect you with an e-resident from the Netherlands who became a digital nomad. This case is very interesting. He worked for a company in the Netherlands, and then formed his own company. But then in the Netherlands, apparently, if you leave the country, you can't keep your company the same way. You have to spend a certain amount of days of the year in the Netherlands to keep the license for your company, something along the lines of this. Whereas with e-residency, you don't need to spend time in Estonia to have your company. You can run it from wherever you are. But I'd be happy to connect you to him so he can share his experiences with you.
Kasper, there's a nice question here from Olawale about, is Estonia a nice place to coordinate trading into like the rest of the EU? Is this something that you see with your clients, that they use Estonia as an EU base or HQ, for example, to operate in?
Well, I hate the word depends, but I use the depends.
Do
you have any other yes, maybe Georgi answers first, and if I have anything to add, please, Georgi.
Okay, great.
I just wanted to say that depends is lawyer's word. Okay, yes, it depends. Always depends on what are you trading with. So what are the goods or are the services? For example, digital services should be registered as VAT obligated from the €1. You should know this. It's always depend on the purpose, on the strategy. It's really hard to answer, but I know that a lot of e-commerce entrepreneurs are coming to Estonia and opening Estonian company for this purpose. So they see that it is easy, it is beneficial, it's simple with the taxation system, even with the opening the not bank account maybe, but account and payment institution. It's not so hard if you have a clear business and business plan and your partners.
Mm-hmm. And with I understand the HQ is the question, like you can if you create it, so some do for the future purposes or in combination with some startups perhaps, but overall I think those who are doing it in Estonia, there's like more than one reason to do it. Of course, currently and always has been this island, a popular place where headquarters are put up for different reasons. But the question about Estonia, definitely we have some, and usually the ones who are doing it they have multiple reasons to do it. So if to answer you more directly, you could connect with us and we can talk about it.
Thank you. And I think that actually brings us to the end. I know that there are still some questions to be answered, but a lot of them are very specific to people's personal situation, personal circumstances. So I'm going to tell you how you can get answers to those questions in this last slide before we finish. So thank you for joining us. And what's next? Firstly, after this webinar ends, you'll receive a link to a survey. It would be really, really appreciated if you filled that out. It'll only take you 1 or 2 minutes to do. And I use that feedback to improve these webinars every month. Secondly, if you haven't already, subscribed to the e-Residency email list so you can get all the latest news and events. including information from service providers as well. If you still have questions that need answering, I encourage you to send them to our support channel, e-resident@gov.ee, or go to the Reddit that I spoke about earlier in the presentation. There's also a e-resident Facebook group as well, where other e-residents will be able to help answer your questions. And finally, you can contact Silva Hunt at info@silvahunt.ee. And if you're ready to apply for e-residency, you can already do so now. You can find the button to apply very prominently on our website. And here is also the URL as well.
And can I say my thanks also to Hannah for organizing this webinar. You've been doing a really good job, and those tutorial videos you're doing, screen recordings are legendary. I think the last event also there with you. And Melissa worked with the community and the 4 pillars and all these events. So a big thanks to you and to the whole e-residency team. And of course, Georgia and Tagne, who was answering most of the questions. She had to go a few minutes ago, but hope most of you got answers. If not, feel free to connect with us. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Kaspar. Thank you, Georgie, as well. And thank you to my delightful co-host, Melissa, as well. And thank you all for joining us. And I hope to see you at more e-residency events very soon.
Thank you very much.